to do some formatting beyond what we've shown you in some of the other modules. We've looked at number formatting and we looked at some text formatting, but there are so many different format options available to you in Excel that I want to take a few moments to show you some borders, some alignment, and some special formatting codes for special numbers, maybe like an employee number or a product number. So first of all, I have this spreadsheet here called payroll, and you'll notice my data is just laid out and I have my column headings. I've formatted them a little bit. But notice my column B, let me scroll to the left here so we can see column A too. And notice my column B has text in it, but the text, because it goes beyond the width of the column, is chopped off. We don't see all of it. If I click on cell B3, we can see up in the formula bar what the full contents of that cell is. But in the spreadsheet, we don't. There is a format called wrap text that will take your text and basically it puts multiple lines within the same cell. So I'm going to select column B because I want to do that for anything that falls in column B. It looks like the obvious place where this might occur. I'm going to go up to my Home tab on the ribbon and come over to my alignment section, and you'll notice that there is an option there called wrap text. So I click on that, and you'll notice what happens is the rows that require more height, like row 3, become a taller row, and then the rows that don't are the same height that they already were. Now, one of the things you might choose to do is change your row heights to make them all fit and even. It's just kind of up to you how you want to do that. But there's a couple other things that have occurred here. You might notice here on column E where I have employee numbers that there's a different alignment in the cell on the ones where possibly the data has 2 rows. One of the things I can do is I can change my top to bottom alignment. We looked earlier at a left to right alignment. We've left align, we've right align, we've centered align. Well, we can top align, middle align, or bottom align within the cell too. And it looks like all the other data within the spreadsheet seems to be going into the middle of the cell, but this employee number column, which I added later, actually is sitting at the bottom of the cell. So I'm going to select that column, and I'm going to come back up to my Home tab. We're back into the alignment section, the alignment grouping, and you'll notice that you have the left, center, and right align, but we also have bottom, middle, and top, middle, and bottom. So I've clicked the middle alignment, and notice now the information is centered from top to bottom within the cell. And you know what? I think I'm going to center it left to right also. One of the things you might notice is that the font in this column E is a different font than the rest of the data in my spreadsheet. I have the Calibri font here. In the other columns, I have Times New Roman. Now, of course, I can just easily highlight the cells and change it to Times New Roman, but let's say there's more formatting going on there than just Times New Roman. I could click on a cell, and if you remember up in your Home tab, in the clipboard section, there is the Format Painter, and it takes any formatting that exists in that cell, copies it, and lets you paste it somewhere else. So I'll click on the Format Painter and click and drag down here. And notice now I have Times New Roman, and I have left align again because the rest of the data, as far as text goes in the spreadsheet, is left align. Now, one of the things I might also choose to do once I have wrapped text, because Baton Rouge, okay, that makes sense, but notice how Columbia is separated out here. I'm going to come up here to column B, and we've seen this in another module, but if I put my mouse on the border between B and C, I get that double arrow. And I can just click and drag a little bit to the right and make things like Columbia and Charleston fit, whereas Baton Rouge, it doesn't have to be quite as large to fit Baton Rouge because the wrap text is working for me there. Now, the other thing I might choose to do when I'm putting my data together and trying to make it easier to read is put borders around my cell or my cells. I can highlight the full range of data, and if I go back up to my Home tab and come down into my font grouping, there is a borders option, and you'll notice the little picture here says no border. It's this little dotted lines which represent your grid lines. If I click on the drop down, I can put in various kinds of borders. I can put borders around each cell. I can just put an outside border or a thick outside border. I can even go into custom borders if I want to. A lot of times you're just probably looking at all borders, and I'll go there and notice now I have borders around each one of my cells. Now I'm going to switch over to my sales commission worksheet because we have sales employee numbers on this worksheet, but in this particular one we want to format the numbers to match data that matches HR's information. So you'll notice my employee numbers have 4 digits. So in HR, maybe the way they do it is the first digit and then a dash and the following 3 digits. So what I will do is I'll come up here in column D where that data is, and I'm going to highlight my cells that have the employee numbers. I'm going up to my home tab and I'm coming over to the number group. And you'll remember we have the little arrows in the bottom right corner of some of those groupings, and it means that a pop-up dialog box is going to pop up here. And it recognizes I have numbers right now, so it's brought me to the Format Cells dialog box on the Number tab. And I'm going to come all the way down to Custom Numbers. This is where I can look for other number formats or create my own. And you can see there are quite a few formats available to you here to show you what they look like. There's several date and month and time related ones, and some number ones, percentage wise, scientific notation, negative numbers, and so forth. What you do is you choose one that's close to what you want and then you edit it. So I'm just going to take this first one with the pound signs in it, and really all I want is, instead of a comma, I want a dash. Now notice when I selected that, my dialog box shows me the selected cell with the comma in it because that's the format, but we really want a dash here. So I come to the type cell and I take out the comma and I put in a dash. Notice my sample shows me that, and I click OK, and now it's formatted the way HR wants it formatted. So within Excel you have lots of different format options available to you. We've shown you a few in this section. There are other modules that talk about number formatting and text formatting too.